Hello, my friends. It's Miss Abigail back. Congratulations, I'm here. I hope you are finding so many fun activities to do during our downtime and our free Sundays that maybe aren't sometimes free. I have been finding lots of stuff to do. The sun's been out. I don't know if you can tell, I've gotten some sun. I hope you have too. It's great to go outside and play. Now, I know there's some rainy days and some days that maybe we've been outside too much. You want to know what's a great activity to fill the time? Our activity sheets. Now, I know that you get emails with these activity sheets every single week, and you can print these off and you can do them yourself. So there's always an activity on the front. This one just so happens to be finding the missing or finding things in the picture that aren't supposed to be there. For example, there's a robot. I don't think there was a robot in this story, so that would, not be there. Also, there's coloring sheets, every single activity sheet, so you can send me pictures of your drawings and your colorings, and that would be so much fun. Now, we are in a new unit. As you can tell, I've changed clothes. So with every new unit, we get a new big picture question and a new key passage. So we are going to do those right now. Our new big picture question says, how can we glorify God? So, how can we? It says that we can glorify God by loving Him and obeying Him. So we're going to say it again. I would say, how can we glorify God? And you would say, we can glorify God by loving Him and by obeying Him. Perfect. Our new key passage is found in Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 8. And it reads, "It is the Lord who goes before you. He will be with you. He will not leave you or forsake you. Do not fear or be dismayed." Deuteronomy 31, verse 8. Perfect. So we are going to move on to our story. Our story today is about crossing the Jordan River. So if you remember, we left off with the Israelites still in the wilderness. Now, they were promised to go to the land of Canaan. Now, it took them 40 years to get there, and they were finally ready to get to the land of Canaan. But there was one thing standing in their way. It was the Jordan River. Now, at this point, Moses, who has been leading them, has died, and God appointed a new leader. His name was Joshua, and God told Joshua to be strong and courageous while leading the Israelites. So, with this one task left, which is crossing the Jordan River, Joshua pled to God for help, and he leaned on God for his guidance and for his help. Now, the Jordan River was massive. It was deep and wide, and it was roaring, and there was just no way for them to cross the Jordan River on their own. They needed God's help, and that's exactly what they'd asked for. So as they were seeking God's help, they asked God to send them a way to help, and God gave them instructions. God told the leaders that the priests of the Israelites would need to have the Ark of God. So this is something that they would carry on their backs. It took about 4 men. We do have a picture of it. So you can see it is something that they are carrying through the Jordan River, all right? And it was pretty heavy. So God told these priests to walk into the Jordan River. And as they were walking, the river stopped roaring and it separated. And the priests began to walk on dry ground. That is mind-blowing, okay? So I want you to stop and try one thing. Can you try one thing for me after this video, or you can pause it? I want you to get a bowl of water or a Tupperware of water, and I want you to separate the water. Try to make the bottom of the bowl or the bottom of the Tupperware dry. Can you do it? Can you use your hands? Can you separate it? Can you use your mind? Can you just look at the water, tell it to separate, and make it separate? My guess, now look, I know I'm not there, but my guess is that you're not able to do it. That's because that's something that God only was able to do because of his power and his glory. And he loved the Israelites so much that he did this for them. So the priests and the leaders did as they were instructed. They walked in the river, as I said, and it was separated, and the dry below them was dry. Now they stood there with it, and the leaders led the rest of the Israelites through the Jordan River. And as they walked, it became separated, and the land below them was all dry. And the priests stayed behind, holding the thing, and they stood there until everybody had passed. And as they walked, they continued to walk on dry land. When they got all the way across the Jordan River, so they're on the banks now, it came back to normal. So God was protecting the Israelites. It didn't stay like that forever. God did that just for them to cross over. Now, like I said, God gave them instructions, and the people followed the instructions to the T. And now, after this, God wanted them to remember the beautiful thing and the beautiful testament that God gave to them. And he instructed them to get 12 stones from the Jordan River that they had crossed. Now, these aren't like tiny pebbles. No, these are big stones. And what God wanted them to do is build a memorial. Do you know what a memorial is? A memorial is a statue or something to represent someone or something that happened. So, in this case, God wanted them to build a memorial to remember that God helped them cross the Jordan and that God loved them so much and they leaned on him for help. So they did exactly as he asked. They got 12 stones and they set them up in a memorial where they slept that night. Now, he specifically said, lay these where you lay your head tonight. And of course, they followed his instructions. So then they had this memorial to look on and to remember all that God had done. Now, this memorial wasn't just one and done. It stayed up. And it stayed up so long that children and generations came to pass, and they would ask their parents, what do these rocks mean? What do these represent? And the parents were able to tell the amazing story of how God had prepared and helped the Israelites cross the Jordan River. That is amazing and so beautiful that these generations were able to grow up with such an amazing story of God's love. And now we're able to talk about the story of all of God's love that he has for us and how he has had this love for people in generations forever. All right, that's our story. Now, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, I hope you don't have any concerns, be sure to email us. You can email Mr. Eric at eric@mymbc.com. Now that's where you're also going to get your activity sheets and all that fun stuff. So make sure you're looking out for those emails. I cannot wait to see you, my friends, and I can't wait to be together. Bye.